Get ready.
This is the voice of Wayne America.
Lighten up, Francis.
With your host,
Hi-ho, Kermit the Frog here.
Mike Carnes.
How do you measure yourself with other golfers?
My height.
Only at WayneAmerica.com.
The supernova's gonna kill us all.
Okay, this guy is the real zero, that's true. Let's just think back when you guys were freshmen, huh?
.com.
Hello and welcome to the Voice of Wayne America podcast, an exclusive here on WayneAmerica.com. I'm Mike Carnes, your host for all things involving the best town in all of America, and that's right here in Wayne America. The COVID-19 virus has been around now for a couple of months and has really turned everybody's lives upside down. And here in Wayne County, we've been fortunate, I guess, to this point to have gone as long as we have without a positive test. The first positive test showed up here over the weekend, and Nebraska, or Wayne County is now one of about half of the counties in the state of Nebraska that have at least one positive test within the county. And so I thought it'd be a good idea to bring in Julie Rother, who's the director of the Northeast Nebraska Public Health Department, and she's been on the ball here with everything going on with this virus and trying to keep people in the four-county area informed on what's going on, and very busy woman right now. And she's with us on the phone here today. And Julie, thanks a lot for stopping by and talking with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Mike. It's really a good opportunity to talk to the people of the health district and get them some of the updated information so that they can be making some really good choices for their health and safety.
How busy have you guys been over the last couple of months compared to what your usual work is?
Oh my goodness! It is just full speed ahead, about 1,000 miles per hour. It feels like some days. Normally we are very busy. We have a lot of grants and contracts that we work on throughout our normal periods. But when this all changed with the COVID-19, this really put us in a whole new mode of operation here. Mm-hmm. We have had staff that have been working 7 days a week since this started. We are bringing on some new staff and some volunteers that are helping us out in tremendous ways. We have staff there are some staff that are putting in 14-hour days on a very regular basis. We are working 7 days a week and just trying to stay one step ahead of this so that we can keep our community as safe and healthy as possible.
Well, you guys have done fantastic work. I know there's been a couple of Sundays I've called over there expecting to leave a voice message, and the phone rings or is answered, and so I know you guys have been really busy with all of this that's been going on here the last couple of months. What can you tell us about the first positive test? I know that was announced, I believe, Saturday afternoon. That Wayne County had its first positive. I know there had been a report on Friday evening that one had been reported in Cedar County, and that was later determined to be an error. But the first one for Wayne, what can you tell us about how that came about, and what do we know?
Yeah, I think that's an important question, Mike, that a lot of people are very interested in. And I feel like I need to lead this off by saying that, we follow the same confidentiality guidelines as any medical provider would. Mm-hmm. And we are really concerned about a person's privacy and confidentiality, and we are bound by those rules and regulations. So we try to be very cognizant of that, and yet give people some information so that they are aware of what's going on in their community. So basically what I can say is that anytime that we get a report of a positive case of an infectious disease, whether it's COVID-19 or whatever it might be, one of the first things we do is we begin an investigation. We check with the lab reports and medical provider or whoever we need to confirm the fact that it is actually positive and the test is the right test that we need in order to confirm that. Mm-hmm. We then move on to reaching out to the individual who is ill, and we do a thorough interview with the individual. We try to identify all of their close contacts during the infectious period for whatever organism we're talking about. So, for instance, like with COVID-19, we tend to look at the 3 days prior to a person getting sick. And then we start to slowly go through their time frame with them and try to identify where all they were and who were they with during this time period. This really helps us identify who the close contacts are, and then we then reach out to the close contacts and we have further conversation with them about what they need to be doing as next steps in order to prevent further spread of the germ or the illness. So that's what we've done in this situation as well. And as part of our interview, we were able to identify that this household was actually really being very diligent about using the social distancing even before they got sick. Now, granted, they hadn't started that soon enough that, there was that exposure and they did get, they did get sick from it. But thankfully, they started the social distancing stuff, staying home as much as possible, and really doing all of that prior to the symptoms starting. So we were really thankful for that, and we're thankful for anyone who is trying to follow those social distancing and those staying at home and only going out, for essential reasons. And so that really helps to prevent the spread, and that's something that we are grateful for that this household was doing already. So that really cut down on the number of close contacts that we had to identify and reach out to. We make sure that we do reach out to all the close contacts, and we continue to talk with the people that are ill on a regular basis so that we can kind of identify if they've thought of anything else since the last time we talked, and continue to try to identify if there's other people out there that should be contacted. So I think in this particular situation, it was the best scenario possible for this. I know the individual has been recuperating at home and is doing pretty well. So I think this was the best case scenario
That's
for
good.
what we had.
Yeah, that's good to hear. How many tests have been conducted here in Wayne County? And I guess the question that somebody had suggested to me too in regards to this is not only how many tests, but how, I guess, who do you test? How is it determined that a test needs to be done? What's the process for that?
So when the testing first started, it was very critically limited in the number of tests that our Nebraska Public Health Lab could do. Also, there were not commercial labs that were doing it. So in the beginning, we had to be we had to really prioritize and be very critical about who was going to be tested with our short reserve of supplies. That has gradually opened up over time, and now we do have commercial testing that's available. We still have priority testing through Nebraska Public Health Lab. So, again, we still have priority groups for that. Typically, anyone that is in the hospital would get prioritized for a public health lab test. Anyone that would be a healthcare worker, they would be prioritized. Anyone with who would be over 65 or someone with an underlying health condition, they would all receive priority testing through Nebraska Public Health Lab. But now we have the opportunity that providers can also order through commercial labs. And so we're starting to see the testing open up, and that's what we want to do. We want to know what's going on out here with all of the virus, and how is it moving in rural areas, and how is that different than in the urban areas, and that really helps us get a better understanding of the virus.
Okay. And then this first positive test that we had, I guess when you hear that it gets that close, I mean we've seen it in Madison County, Pierce County, basically all those counties surrounding the 4-county area that you serve. How does a test change how we conduct our day-to-day lives here, and does that change anything that on your end as far as how you go about dealing with the virus and the tests that are done?
So the testing, that's a good question. How does the testing change our life? Well, let's talk about the general public first. Really, the testing is something that if somebody's having symptoms, then we want them to already be self-isolating, away from others even in their own household. As soon as you start to feel symptomatic, we want you to cut back on any kind of interaction, even within your own household. We don't want you to be going out for sure, and until we get those test results back and get a better picture of what's going on with the person. Mm-hmm. So that's how it changes for an individual who's being tested. Once the test comes back, if it is positive, then that not only changes their situation. I mean, they're going to have to stay home longer then and receive daily check-ins with public health. But then also, we're also looking at those household members. They also are going to need to stay home, quarantine, monitor for symptoms. And so that's part of the reason why public health is involved too. We have a group of nurses. Normally we have just two of us that are nurses that are full-time, but since this has started, we've had some wonderful people step to the plate, and we've been able to add more nurses to our team during this response period. So we have a group of nurses that's actually calling people that we have in quarantine or isolation and checking in with them, making sure they have what they need while they're in quarantine and isolation, making sure that if they're having symptoms, knowing what the next step to do is in order to get tested. But as far as like the general population, we really want to stress that people should still already be doing social distancing and only going out when they need to. If you have symptoms, stay at home, call your doctor, see if the doctor feels like you need to be tested for this. The social distancing is key to slowing the spread of the virus. When you go out to the store, it's now being recommended to wear one of those fabric face masks, not to protect yourself, but what you're doing is you are preventing the spread of your germs to other people. And when other people wear the mask, then they are preventing the spread of their germs to you. And so we all need to do our part in slowing the spread of this virus.
And I guess, looking at the numbers, I'm looking at the Department of Health and Human Services map that they have of the state of Nebraska, and where all the cases have been documented. So far, 871 positive tests and 18 deaths here in Nebraska, and obviously any number above zero when you're looking at the deaths is unacceptable, or it is a disappointment. But obviously, it seems to me that the social distancing that we've all been participating in, it would seem to me that it's really kept those numbers from being much higher. You look at states like New York that have over 10,000 deaths, but it, of course, is their population is 10 times as big as Nebraska. But still, it seems to me that the Midwest has done a really good job of doing this social distancing, and it's really seems to me it's kind of kept the numbers down here.
I would agree with that, Mike. I really think that an advantage that we have in the heartland here is that we do have more space to spread out from each other. So we already have some of that social distancing going on, and I just think that that people in the heartland are really top notch about wanting to do the right thing, and sometimes it's just a matter of not really knowing what the right thing is. So we've been getting help from our partners and trying to get word out about what is social distancing, what does it mean, what does it not mean, because I think that's really the big key, is give people the information they need to make the best decision that they can.
And we've been at this now for I think it was March 12th. I think was when the everything really first started to get going. As far as seeing all the changes that have been done in the last month, it seems much longer than that. But I think we're all kind of anxious to get back to some sense of normal. What are you seeing as far as how things are going here in the state, and how soon we might see some sense of normal coming back, where we can get back to shaking hands and things like that?
Oh goodness, I think that's a tough question. I think that we can all see how difficult of a question that is when we listen to our state and national leaders. The whole key here is we don't want to open things back up too soon. Um, and we base these things on, I know that you've heard this, these these models that the experts are looking at as far as when can we expect to open things back up. And like they've all said, models are just that. They're models to help you make an informed decision, and it's not, it's not the 100% truth. It just gives us more information to make the best decision that we can. I know the other thing that they've been looking at as far as the experts, they've been looking at what happened during the Spanish flu. That was really the last big pandemic that could be comparable to what we've got going on right now. And we do know that, there was a lull for a period of time during the Spanish flu. And then when some cities started to open back up and have some mass gatherings again, it came back full force again. So I think, in my opinion, it's very important that we take it slow. Don't rush back into things too quickly, and just continue to use as much social distancing as we can. We are taking our guidance from our state leaders through Department of Health and Human Services. We have several doctors that are working on this, and we're taking our guidance from them. And then they're also working together with the governor, and so I feel very confident that there are a lot of subject matter experts that are giving us this guidance based on the best science that they have.
From your perspective, how close are we to finding some kind of vaccination that will prevent this or minimize the chance that we might contract COVID-19? I know I've heard a number of things that have been tried, and I think South Dakota is doing some kind of big test with hydrochlor. I can't remember what the medicine is.
The hydrochloroquine.
There you go, hydrochloroquine. Do you think we'll see something like that come up within the next few months?
Well, I am very confident in the scientists and the medical scientists that we have in our country. I feel like they're top-notch, and I know that there are a lot of places, a lot of universities that are working on trying to find these cures, trying to do the best research that they can in order to make sure that we're making, good treatment decisions for people, the right treatment decisions for people. I know as far as like the treatment, I think that's one of our big keys. If we can find a treatment, then that helps us loosen up some of the social distancing. The more testing we can do, that might help. And of course, the vaccine is kind of always out there. And I know that they're working on a vaccine hard and fast. I know back with H1N1, that was kind of a much smaller issue than this is, but with the H1N1, we got a vaccine pretty fast, unusually fast, actually. It was about 6 months. But I've heard some of the experts really caution on thinking that we're going to get a vaccine anytime soon. Evidently, back with the first SARS virus, they tried to get a vaccine and really never could. So I think that what I hear some of the state experts saying is that it could be 12 to 18 months, and that would be a promising timeline if we were to even have a vaccine by then. So, again, it's all scientific theories and opinions about how that's going to fall out. But these what we call non-pharmaceutical interventions, we call these NPIs, these social distancing, these shutting down mass gatherings, not coming together with other people outside your own household. These non-pharmaceutical interventions are what's going to keep us from spreading it too quickly right now, and seeing more deaths than we already have. So I think we need to rely on those now. We need to be hopeful that there's going to be some treatment discoveries soon and approval soon and vaccine. But right now, these are the weapons that we have.
And hopefully, once we get all that, you and your staff can return to a normal work schedule, right?
Well, that would be great. I think there's a lot of people out there that want to return to normal, and I really want to applaud the people in the communities that are really thinking creatively about how can we have some sense of normalcy and still use our social distancing. I think that's really what we need to look at right now is remember our non-pharmaceutical interventions, and then how can we continue to do some things without offering the virus an opportunity to spread. And I've seen those things happen in our communities. I've heard about some of these things. And people are just creative. I just am totally surprised and impressed about what I've seen people doing as part of this response to protect our community.
We've been talking with Julie Rother, the director of the Northeast Nebraska Public Health District, which is located here in Wayne. Actually, you're about a block and a half away from where I'm sitting right now. I mean, we could have walked across the street and done this interview, but obviously with social restrictions and everything like that, doing it over the phone is just as good as well.
That's right. It's even better right now.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Julie, thanks a lot for talking with us here on the Voice of Wayne America and keeping us updated on stuff. I know the work that you're doing and the work that people in the health community are doing is just beyond belief. It's amazing what you guys have done to try to keep us healthy and keep this virus from becoming an even bigger monster than it is. I think we just passed 10,000 or 20,000 deaths here in the United States here over the weekend, and that's a tragedy no matter what. But you guys have done fantastic work, and everybody in the health community should be applauded for what you guys have done here so far.
Well, thank you very much, Mike. We're glad we're here doing what we're doing.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this edition of Voice of Wayne America podcast here on WayneAmerica.com. Again, I want to thank Julie Rother from the Northeast Nebraska Public Health District to talk with us about the COVID-19 virus. We'll have another edition of Voice of Wayne America coming up here on WayneAmerica.com, so check back later, and we will talk to you later. Thanks.